Hello everyone and welcome back to another Canadian Politics Explained video. And in today's video we're going to be going over the current state of the vaccine rollout in Canada. So recently government officials confirmed that there were going to be 1 million more doses of Moderna vaccine being delivered to Canada in May. Now obviously Moderna have been the ones who have been delaying shipments to Canada as of recently, as they recently delayed about 400,000 doses which were going to go to Canada last. As they recently delayed about 400,000 doses that were going to go to Canada in April, but they delayed them until a few months down the road. So next month, they will be delivering 1 million doses to fulfill their contractual obligations to Canada. So, and as you can see here, they are bracing for a massive surge in vaccines, as said by CBC here. So, if I go over here, as you can see, this was April 16th, so 2 weeks ago as I'm recording this. As you can see, Moderna was slashing vaccine deliveries while Pfizer was increasing them. This meant that Canada was receiving, instead of increasing the amount of vaccines they were inoculating people with, it kind of stagnated because as Pfizer was increasing their deliveries to Canada, Moderna was slashing them, so it kind of evened out. But now in the next month of May, they should begin increasing once again, and Canada should be able to inoculate more people this month than they did in April. So, if I go down here, as you can see, if I focus on Canada here, in January and February, they had one of the slowest rollouts in the G7, except for Japan. And as you can see, this is when they had many delayed shipments. And as you can see, they were only inoculating about 0.04 doses per 100 people. At this time, but then it's steadily increased up until about the beginning of April. As you can see here, it kind of peaked at about 0.75 doses per 100 people per day, and now it's kind of leveled off again, as you can see, and it is going down, but that's mainly due to reporting errors, or not reporting errors, but delays in reporting the vaccine doses that were administered. So, as you can see here, Canada's vaccine rollout did increase, the speed of it did increase significantly going into the months of March and April. And they were able to surpass many countries like Italy and France and Germany, but they were never able to surpass the high levels of the UK and the United States, even though the US rate is going down right now. So one more thing, if I go down here, as you can see, this is the total amount of inoculations Canada has delivered per 100 people. So they've done about 35 doses per 100 people. And assuming every one of those doses is of a 2-dose vaccine like Pfizer or Moderna, that means that you need 200 doses per 100 people to fully inoculate everyone. But right now, Canada is focusing on doing the first doses, as most provinces in Canada changed their strategy to delay second doses by up to 4 months at the beginning of March. But now, basically, they're only doing first doses. So if I scroll all the way down here, as you can see, Canada only has, if I go here, Canada only has 2.9% of their population fully inoculated. And this has been increasing steadily as of recently. But recently, it is, as you can see here, it slowed down massively as they began to only give first doses to people instead of prioritizing second doses like countries like the United States have. Because if I go here and hover over the United States on this map here, actually, down here, map, as you can see, the United States has about 30% fully inoculated, which is much higher than most countries in the world, except for the United Arab Emirates, which recently reported the first figures, and they have 38% of their population fully inoculated. And the United Kingdom has 20.7%, as they are now ramping up their second dose capacity, as people who got their vaccines earlier now are due for their second doses, which they delayed as well, similar to Canada has done. So, if we look to the future here, it's very likely that Canada's first dose speed will slow down, as second doses are required for people who got their vaccines in mid-March, when they first started delaying their second doses by up to 4 months. So that means that in mostly June and July, there will be a slowing down of first doses for more people. So That means that May and the beginning of June are very important months for the vaccine rollout, as they need to make sure they get as many shots as possible into arms before second shots are becoming necessary. So if I go over here, as you can see, Canada is currently in the midst of a third wave of COVID, and it is going down right now, but this is at a slower pace than what would be ideal, because as you can see, it kind of bottomed out. Caseloads kind of bottomed out at around 3,000 cases per day, and now from March to April they went up very rapidly, and now they're beginning to trickle down slowly as restrictions do start to have an effect about 2 to 3 weeks after they are introduced. So I'm going to go over to this CTV tracker instead, because this allows for province-wide breakdowns. So as you can see here, Ontario's third wave is in the midst of receding, and right now they only have about 3,722 cases per day, which is compared to about 4,500 at the peak of the third wave. Alberta has still been going up, actually. This is one place where the restrictions put in place have not been very successful as of yet. And the number of cases is still climbing, where they reported 2,000 cases yesterday. If I go down here, 2,048 cases, which is one of the highest of the pandemic yet. If I go to new here, as you can see, 2,000 cases is actually the highest total since the pandemic began. So the restrictions are obviously not working here. Quebec has been able to kind of minimize its third wave a little bit, as it has been able to go down from its peak of about 1,600 cases down to about 1,000. And BC, similar story as Ontario. They peaked at about 1,100 cases per day, much higher than the second wave or the first wave, but now they are on the way down, and now they're averaging about 800 cases per day. So this just shows that vaccines are becoming very important, as in order to end the pandemic, they need vaccinations in order to be able to get rid of lockdowns, curfews, and other restrictions like that, which Canadians are getting tired of. So if I go here to the poll tracker, this was updated 2 days ago, and Liberal support is sliding a little bit. As you can see from my last video, they've gone down 2 seats to 172 seats, but they are still in majority territory, and the Conservatives have not made many gains as of recently. The NDP and Bloc Québécois have not really changed. So the Liberal Party haven't really lost support in any particular area in the country. As you can see here, they've been going down since their peak of April 26th, where they were polling at 36.7%, and now they're polling at 36%, but this obviously is not a big difference. And they did increase their support pretty significantly since the beginning of April, where they were polling at about 35%, and 2% increase. It's fairly significant on the national level. Not so much on the provincial level, but on the national level it is. And if I go in here to BC, this is the main place where the support has slid. As you can see, they peaked at 33.4%, then they went down 1.5%, down to about 31%. And if I go to seat projections, they have not really changed much, because many of the seats there are safe and don't have much of a chance of changing hands, at least unless something big changes. So this just underscores the importance of a good vaccine rollout for the Liberal government, because this is where this is the political time where they need a victory, because they have been able to increase their support, but they need to be able to maintain this with a good vaccine rollout, because if the vaccine rollout falters now, then the Conservative Party will be able to capitalize on that and criticize Justin Trudeau's government, and Canadians will most likely gravitate towards other parties than the Liberal Party for the next election, whenever it may be, because the budget is very likely to be passed, and mostly because of the support of Jagmeet Singh's NDP, as they do not want an election right now. But basically, to sum this all up, Canada is expecting a lot more doses of COVID-19 vaccine to arrive within the coming weeks. So now it's just a waiting game to see how much this will actually affect provincial rollouts. So let's move on to the province-wide vaccine rollouts instead of the national level. So as you can see here, the territories have the 3 highest percentage of the population vaccinated. As you can see, the Yukon Territory has 61.28% of their population given the first dose, followed closely by the Northwest Territories and none of it. Quebec has the best out of the provinces. However, this does include people fully vaccinated as well. So they are probably close to Ontario's total as of right now. Ontario has been able to accelerate their vaccine rollout significantly, as now they are standing at 32.32% of their population given at least one dose, with 2.5% of the people fully vaccinated. But this number probably will not go up for another few months, like I said. This is followed by BC, very closely actually, and Saskatchewan just behind BC, with around 32% each. And Newfoundland and Labrador and New Brunswick are the next two provinces with about 31.5 and 30%. And then you have Manitoba, Nova Scotia, Alberta, and PEI coming in the bottom four. Alberta were at the top of this, at least in terms of the provinces, at the beginning of the vaccine rollout, but now they have slipped as their vaccine rollout has significantly slowed over the past few months as lockdowns have come into effect, and also vaccine hesitancy is significantly higher in Alberta. This probably is not the main reason right now, because definitely more than 28% of Albertans do want to get the vaccine. And another reason for this is, as you can see here, both PEI and Alberta have done significantly more second doses than the rest of the provinces, with Alberta at 6.6% and PEI at 6.62%. So if you add these together, they actually get pretty close to Ontario and BC and Saskatchewan, which lead the provinces. And Quebec's is already added together, so I do not need to add that. But this would lead to about 34%, which is fairly similar to if you add Ontario's, BC's, and Saskatchewan's together. So it seems like the vaccine rollout is pretty evenly distributed throughout the provinces, and no one province is taking a lead over the other ones, like we've seen in the U.S., where some states have significantly less vaccinations than other states. Because in some states you have about 55% of people who are vaccinated, while in others you have less than 30% who are inoculated with at least one dose. And if I scroll down here to the doses distributed, as you can see, there's not much of a difference here. There are about 1.4 million doses that were distributed but haven't been given yet. But as you can see, most vaccinations have actually been given to people, and they're not sitting in storage, which is a good thing, obviously, because you want to get vaccines into arms as quickly as possible. But this is a provincial responsibility, not a federal responsibility. So, as you can see, Ontario has about 500,000 doses in stockpile, Quebec with about 200,000, and then the rest of the provinces have fairly minimal numbers in stockpile, so I will not go over them. Except the territories do have about 10,000 doses each, except for Yukon, which has 6,000. So this shows that they are not going to run out of supply anytime soon, as they do have small populations, and they do not need as many vaccines as the provinces do. So that's all I have for you in today's video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all later.